This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
Yo, what's up, you guys? It's the Wrestling Old Head here in the portal of pro wrestling. And I thought instead of doing a bunch of these mini videos that I'd kind of combine a bunch of these ideas that I had and put them all under one video and see, what you guys think about these ideas. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to predict what's going to happen for the rest of the year in professional wrestling. Some of the bigger angles, bigger moments, maybe like a group combining, tag team forming, some kind of idea, championship match or two. Just a couple of ideas that I had floating in my head that I kind of saw happening, but then I'm not sure. Basically, a fantasy cooking video. If you like it, go ahead and hit the thumbs up and go ahead and drop a comment of what you think is going to happen in the year 2025 for the rest of the year 2025. So I got a couple of these ideas that I'm going to float by you. And also, if you'd like, in the comments below, let me know what you think of them or if it's likely, if that's even going to happen. One of them that I'm predicting for the rest of the year, one big idea is that John Cena will face Rey Mysterio Jr. in Mexico. WWE is going to Mexico. They have a big joint card with AAA, which they just acquired as of WrestleMania 41. And one of the big events as a part of this acquisition was a Worlds Collide event, which I believe is going to be a PLE that is coming from Mexico on June 7th or 18th. I can't remember because it's like within a week after AEW going to Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. So they're all happening within the same time. So sometime in the middle of June, it's going to be this World Collide event. And at that time, I believe John Cena is still going to be the undisputed world champion. And I think this would be a huge match, if I'm not mistaken. And please let me know in the comments. I think this is a first ever match, Rey Mysterio Jr. against John Cena. I don't believe in John Cena's entire career he ever had a match with Rey Mysterio Jr. And because they were both faces, so the only way that I think they might have had an interaction in the Royal Rumble, maybe in an Elimination Chamber or something like that, and it's possible, very possible, that when John Cena first came in, that as a heel, as a rapper, he might have had a match. But other than that, I haven't checked Cage Match, so I have no idea if there was even a match between the two. So I'm just throwing that out there. If that is their first ever match, talk about an amazing atmosphere to put John Cena in a championship match with the challenger being Rey Mysterio Jr. Rey Mysterio Jr. in Mexico, a part of the WWE against John Cena. I mean, that is an amazing environment for a match like that to go down. And I believe that is the perfect time, the perfect area for that match to happen. I also believe, just while we're on the subject of John Cena, that John Cena will defend his championship at some point this year against Bill Goldberg. And I know a lot of people are not going to be a fan of that, and I understand it. Probably not the best match as far as like work rate or even general interest if you really want to get into it. A lot of people have soured on Goldberg over the couple of years, not really been a fan of his matches, and really just felt like, I think it was when Goldberg beat The Fiend. When he beat The Fiend in Saudi Arabia, that was it. Fans were just like done. They were like, I don't want Goldberg on my television, because Fiend was at his peak of popularity, and the idea was just to put him above everybody else. I mean, this guy could have been the next Undertaker, The Fiend, and Goldberg comes in and beats him in a few minutes. So I know that he's not the most popular choice here, but and it's a possibility depending on where they're at, which if they do have this match, in my opinion, they need to have this match in Saudi Arabia. You cannot have this match in the United States. Maybe in Europe you can potentially get a scenario where John Cena is booed and Goldberg is cheered, but if you put that match on in the States, it's your own damn fault when the fans start cheering for John Cena and booing Bill Goldberg. I repeat, I would not put that match on in the States. That would either be Saudi Arabia, and I mean, even in Europe, I mean, there's a potential for you to really get a situation where it's either split down the middle or the crowd just completely shits on John Cena. So that is also a first ever matchup between two legends of the sport. Say what you will about Goldberg, he is a legend, and I do believe that would be their first ever encounter as well. So if you're going to have a retirement tour with John Cena, I think a match with Rey Mysterio and a match with Goldberg would kind of cement his legacy. And I know, I mean, like Goldberg, who is he? Whatever, right? I get it. But hear me out. First ever matches. There's not very many for John Cena unless you want to talk about some of the younger talent. So putting him in a match with Goldberg and Rey Mysterio, it kind of like for that era, for the attitude / ruthless aggression era, that kind of does it. You know, that really puts a check on everything for him and really completes that chapter. So that's my guess as far as that goes. On to the AEW side before I finish off with more WWE predictions. On the AEW side, I believe that we're going to get MJF reuniting with FTR. I believe before the end of the year, I think where we're seeing with this, and this is also something that is echoed by Robert Karpelis from Rumor and Innuendo, 12 Eastern, Monday through Friday on the Rumor and Innuendo channel. And there's another channel, Ad-Free Shows. Ad-Free Shows is another way you can find Rumor and Innuendo. Robert Karpelis and Dominic D'Angelo. I think he definitely agrees with this. He actually said this first. But I understand the vision now. I see the vision, and it makes total sense. Pinnacle was a stable with MJF, Tully Blanchard, Shawn Spears, Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, and now that we no longer have Shawn Spears and Tully Blanchard is no longer around as well, I think the only remaining members of Pinnacle being MJF and FTR, I think it's a perfect time to put those two back together with the fully heel FTR now. They have fully embraced their heel turn. And reuniting with MJF, it seems to be a foregone conclusion. You can have a good dynamic between Stokely Hathaway, who manages FTR, and MVP. You've got the Herd Syndicate, who can also bring in Cedric Alexander as their third or fourth member, if you count him MVP, to really round that out. So you can have a situation where it's Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, and Bobby Lashley against MJF and FTR. I mean, you can do a lot with this idea. I think that's where they're going, and I think where we're getting is to reunite with the Pinnacle. And if they do, I'd be glad because I really liked their theme music. I thought it was badass. I always thought it was awesome. So I would like to see that. Another AEW prediction that I have is that Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page will win the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I believe that that is one of the only teams, aside from FTR, that can really challenge the Hurt Syndicate and make it believable. Make Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, give them a run for their money. Also, Bobby Lashley has a win over Swerve Strickland, and they really didn't follow up with that at all. They kind of sent the two on their separate paths, and so I think that there's a story that you can sync with there. I think the unlikely duo of Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page works in this scenario, and I think it can also lead to them, getting closer as kind of friends, and then become bitter enemies again when they lose the belts and or the titles, and they realize that they have to go through each other in order to get a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I also, and to finish off the AEW predictions, I believe at the end of the year, Will Ospreay will be AEW World Champion. I know that we're pretty much going to get Darby Allin as AEW World Heavyweight Champion at some point or another. I just don't see it happening with the Owen Hart Cup going on. I believe you will see a Will Ospreay Jon Moxley match probably as soon as All In the stadium, and you will see Will Ospreay win, and they'll probably finish out the year World's End with maybe Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, or Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. That's where I got with that. Now back to the WWE. At some point, you're going to see a mask versus mask match with El Grande Americano. Who his opponent is going to be, that is the mystery, and I have no idea. At this point, it would be interesting if they went with the Penta route, because Penta's rising popularity, that would be huge for him to beat El Grande Americano and have him unmasked. But I do believe there is a story here, an amazing story that I don't know if it would culminate in Mexico. Because, I mean, imagine this undercard. I'll get to that in a minute. I don't believe it'll culminate in Mexico, but I do believe at some point El Grande Americano will be challenged by El Generico. And El Generico is Sami Zayn, for those that are not inclined. You're probably like, who is El Generico? El Generico was the name of Sami Zayn when he was on the independent circuit before he came into the WWE. He had that name through Ring of Honor and through some of the Canadian and Northeast independents, and even in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. El Generico was super over. He then took the mask off, became Sami Zayn. So I do believe we will see Sami Zayn don the El Generico mask once more and wrestle El Grande Americano. I believe it would be huge. I think it would be awesome. You've got the story tie-in with Sami Zayn and Chad Gable that goes back so many years. And then here's the thing with that story. If you do have that match in Mexico, that would be on the undercard of John Cena against Rey Mysterio Jr. So you've got two important matches that would really draw more people in. And then, of course, you can use Andrade. You can use El Gato del Fantasmo. You can use Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio. I mean, not Rey Mysterio because he's wrestling John Cena, but you've got Dominic Mysterio. You've got Rey Fenix. You've got Dragon Lee. So many other wrestlers at your arsenal on top of whatever you can use from AAA. So I believe you have a lot to utilize there. And I would not be mistaken. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen at the end of the year, but something else I want to throw out is the potential for a Lucha Underground reunion. Remember, the WWE just brought in Jeff Cobb. He is not debuted yet. We don't know where we're going to see him, but remember, he was an integral part of Lucha Underground on top of Conan. Conan, who is also going to be a part of the WWE through vis-a-vis AAA. So, and just so many other wrestlers that have come from Lucha Underground. I believe the only people that would be omitted at this point from this Lucha Underground reunion show would be Ricochet, Swerve Strickland, and then Taya Valkyrie and John Morrison. Now, Taya Valkyrie and John Morrison, I would not count them out. They haven't really been doing much aside from being on Ring of Honor. It is possible that they could find their way, make their way back to the WWE before they do this Lucha Underground reunion show. Now, you also got the Netflix tie-in. Netflix was airing a lot of Lucha Underground at that time. Now the WWE is working with Netflix. I'm telling you, maybe I'm way ahead of the curve on this, but I would think that it is possible that a Lucha Underground show would happen through the WWE on Netflix in the not too distant future. So remember where you heard that first. Also, I believe that we would, speaking of Jeff Cobb, I do believe we will see Jeff Cobb in a tag team with Rusev. Now, I don't know if this would be a tag team that you would see all the time or if they would end up just doing a 1 or 2 night deal. I think that those two behemoths in the ring together, they would be one of the most dominant tag teams in professional wrestling. So I do predict that we will see Jeff Cobb teaming with Rusev at some point. And you know, you just saw Rusev make his triumphant return to the WWE on Raw this past Monday. Speaking of acquisitions as well, since we were talking about AAA and the potential of Lucha Underground reuniting, I do believe the WWE will buy another promotion by the end of the year. And if I were a betting man, which I am, I would say that you would put some money on WWC, the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico, which has ties to the Colons, which is Carlito and his family. So, and Savio Vega. I would say that you should look for the WWE to potentially purchase that. I believe they were looking at the library for a while as well. So there's been interest before for the WWC. So I would not be surprised if they pulled the trigger and made that acquisition official. Also, if the WWE were even to think of possibly going into Japan, which I think would be very difficult for them to do that, I would say keep your eyes on Pro Wrestling Noah or All Japan Pro Wrestling as far as acquisitions go, with Shinsuke Nakamura potentially being the liaison for that and bridging that partnership. But that is way far in advance. It'd be interesting if they also did an acquisition with the female wrestling company Marigold, which is head up by former owner of Stardom. So that would be interesting too, although Marigold is pretty new, and I don't know if they'd be willing to be acquired, more so as maybe just doing some kind of a joint show or a program where they work in development together. Cody Rhodes will make his return to the WWE, and I think he's going to do it with a new look. My prediction before the end of 2025 is that Cody Rhodes will return and his hair will be dyed black. I believe this will indicate that he has got a more of a darker attitude, and I think that is the only way that you are going to get the crowd to cheer Cody Rhodes upon return, because I feel like they failed by giving Cody Rhodes a chance to actually kick John Cena below the belt or hit him with the title. I think that would have been a huge pop for Cody. I think that would have got the crowd back on his side. He still could have lost, but just to do that move, that is a very antiquated move for a face to do that in 2025, especially around a smart crowd like that. They should have known better that was actually going to get the crowd to turn against Cody Rhodes, who they already were turning against on SmackDown. So they kind of had a clue as to what might have happened, unless they're doing this on purpose. And the idea is to get to the point where Cody Rhodes looks darker and dyes his hair black and starts wearing darker clothes and has a meaner attitude, but is still a face. I don't know what the idea was behind that, but they had to have known. That was something that it reminded me, the title belt situation. It wasn't the same because it wasn't a tug of war, but it reminded me of the WrestleMania match between Roddy Piper and Bret Hart, where Roddy Piper wanted to use the ring bell. And then I believe at one point he wanted to use the Intercontinental title as well. And then he just kept refusing to do it, and that ended up costing him the match, and Bret Hart beat him. But it was a similar idea. I just don't know if that was something that they should have gone with, but they did it. It's already over. It's happened. I think the way that you can get the crowd back on the side of Cody Rhodes is by doing something like that, giving him a new look. So he shows up, he's got a hood on, he hits the crossroads on John Cena, takes the hood off, and he's got darker hair. It would signify a new attitude. It would signify a new badass side of Cody Rhodes, and I think that would be the start of getting Cody Rhodes back in the good graces of the WWE Universe. And finally, you guys know I am a Karrion Kross glazer. I am a Karrion Kross fan, and I've been a fan of his for a very long time. I mean, this goes way back to when he first started through the Las Vegas promotion 5-Star Wrestling, and then from some of the other ventures that he's had on the independent circuit when he was Killer Kross, his promos, his YouTube channel, I've been a fan of and I've been following for a long time. Finally, we're going to get an opportunity to see Karrion Kross get what is due, which is being prominently placed on television. One of two things, or both, are probably going to happen as far as where I am predicting in my crystal ball, the old head crystal ball that sits next to my rocking chair. I am going with Karrion Kross winning the King of the Ring tournament. If they do decide to bring the King of the Ring back this year, Karrion Kross will be involved in the King of the Ring, and also going with a match between Jey Uso. I think this is also an opportunity for Karrion Kross to get in the head of Sami Zayn again, as he has started to drop some breadcrumbs and have some interaction with Sami Zayn backstage over the course of a couple of months back in the lead up to WrestleMania, or actually in the lead up to the Elimination Chamber match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You saw Karrion Kross kind of trying to get in the head of Sami Zayn. I believe he can continue that and try and get Sami Zayn to turn on Jey Uso, and in doing so draws the ire of Jey Uso, and that's when they can have a matchup. I do believe, and this is an exciting time to be a WWE fan, they have a lot of different routes and options to go down, and with Karrion Kross you can go through so many different places. You can bring back the Hourglass, you can have him on SmackDown and have him interact with Damian Priest, which is where I feel like that is where they should go to start to get him more prominently placed is to get in the head of Damian Priest. I also believe that Omos will be making an NXT return and battle Oba Femi. So those are my predictions. That's where I see things going. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thumbs up on the way out, and go ahead and hit the comment button if you feel so inclined. So that's where I see 2025 ending with my predictions. You guys let me know what you think, and as always, this is the Wrestling Old Head in the portal of pro wrestling. Stay tuned for more.